Hi, and welcome to part 6 of my PowerShell tutorial series. Today we're going to be starting the conditional statements. We're going to look at some of the operators and commandlets that we can use in conditional statements, and also take a look at the if, else, and ElseIf statements to start with. So conditional statements are really useful in PowerShell. So to begin with, we're going to be going back to basically video 2, where we went over some variables and data types, where we went over Booleans, which are a true or false value. We're going to be using those types of results to decide whether or not we want to execute a block of code. So if the statement's true, we want to execute that block of code. Or if it's false, we may even want to execute that block of code, but we want to make that decision based on our condition that we tell PowerShell to do so. So there's quite a few operators in PowerShell. I'm going to go over a few with you guys today, some of the most common ones. So we have the equals, not equals, greater than and equals to, lesser than or equals to, the contains operator, and the like operator. I really like the like operator. I use it quite a bit in some of my scripts that I write day to day. So let's take a look at those first. So let's start off with the equals operator here. So we have one, and then to do an operator, it's going to be the dash. And then here we have all of our operators. So for equal, it's going to be EQ. And we're going to do 1 equals 1. And we actually see that we get true back. Now, if we did 1 equals 2, we get false back. Now, there's tons of other operators that we can do. There's the 1 greater than or equal to, which is GE, and then greater than, which is GT. So let's do GT. 0 is 1 greater than 0. We get that it is true. If we do 1 is greater than 1, we will see that we get false because 1 is not greater than 1. But if we change this to greater than or equals to 1, we get a true value. So there is a bunch of these. I'm just going to write a whole bunch of them down here. I'm going to write them all as true statements for now, just so you can get kind of the feel for it. And I'm also going to be showing you guys something new here today, which is using the hashtag or pound symbol. You can make a comment. This comment will not be executed by PowerShell, but it's mostly meant for adding comments to your code or your script, just to explain to the other people that might be reading it what you're trying to do or what that line is doing. So I'm just going to write equals here, and then I'm just going to be writing what operator I am performing on that line. That is greater or equals to. And then we have greater than here. And then let's just, I'm going to be copying some of these here. So we have the less than, well, lesser than or equals, lesser or equals, and then we have lesser than. And then we also have the contains operator. So this one is a little bit different than your typical math operators. This one will actually be comparing an array on the left-hand side. So let's do an array of 1, 2, and 3. Dash contains 1. So does this array contains 1? And we know that it does, but if we do a contains 4, we get that it is false. And then we also have the like operator. So what the like operator is mostly for is for comparing strings. So if we have PowerShell here, we can do a dash like, and we can do all lowercase, and this will actually come out to be true because the like is case insensitive. But if we do let's say missing an L here. Just going to do it all on the same line. We get that it is false because PowerShell is not like PowerShell without the L. But if we add a asterisk here, which is a wildcard, we get that it is true. And we can actually remove the entire word shell and just replace it with a star, and we will still get true. So this is very useful if you know what the beginning is definitely going to be and you don't really care about the rest and you just want to see, is this string close enough to this? If so, let's do something. If so, let's not do something. So we can use those types of conditions. And now we can also use commandlets to get a true or false. So the one that I'm going to be using here is going to be the test path commandlet. And I actually have a file here. I'm just going to show you where the file is. It's in my C drive in a folder called data, and it is a file called names.txt. And I have some names in here. We're going to be using that later on in this video. So let's actually create first a variable called file path, and let's put that path in here. So to get a path of a file, the easiest way that I like to do it is just a shift right click on it, and then there's a copy as path, and we can just paste that in there. Now what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to make a typo in the name, and we are going to do test dash path, and then we're going to put the parameter path and put that variable in there. And we're going to run this, and we see that we get false because that file does not actually exist. So let's actually add some code down here, and let's put in the correct path. So we have the data names, and we get that it is true. So we can actually use these in our conditional statement. And the first conditional statement I'm going to be showing you guys is the if statement. So basically what that is going to be, we're going to write if, and then we're going to put a condition in here. I'm just going to write it out first, just so you guys can kind of see how it's laid out. So we have an if, we have a condition, and then we have basically code here if condition is true. Now what we can do here, just to show you guys what happens, I'm going to set the file path to actually be incorrect, and we are going to do the test path as our condition, and we are going to do just a simple write output for now. And does this run? Question mark. Let's see if this will run. And we see that it does not actually output does this run, because the test path actually comes out as false because we don't have the correct name. Now, if we put the right name, we will see does this run actually comes up because it is true. Now, you might be wondering why this is useful. Let's actually use the same test path, and let's see what would happen if I ran a get content on that file path, which get content is the commandlet to just get whatever's in a file. So let's go ahead and let's try that here again with the incorrect file path. So let's change this here to the incorrect file path, and we're going to do a get content path file path. And we see here if we run this, we get nothing back, but we don't get any errors. If I was to just run this get content path file path, I would actually get an error. So this isn't really what we want, because if we give a script and then we get an error back because the file doesn't exist, we would like to actually capture that and just hopefully avoid this error altogether. So what we would do is put in this if, and that actually brings me right to the next statement, which is the else operator. So what we can do with this incorrect if statement, which we know will not run, we can actually add a statement called else, and then the curly brackets here, and we can actually write an output. We can do a write error if this was a script in production, but I'm just going to be writing an output here, and we're just going to write an output as the file path does not exist. Now, if we run this here, we get back the file c.names text does not exist. Now, what you're going to notice here, and I'm just going to cover this now, is I specifically used double brackets here with a reference to a variable. If I had done a single quote, it actually would not output the file path. It would actually output directly the $file path. This is because the single quotes in PowerShell do not let you reference or insert variables into the string. So if ever you want to add variables into your string, make sure you're always using the double quotes, and that will let you then insert variables into your strings and get the actual value in your output. So now that we have this here, there is one last statement in these if else, and there's also an else if statement. Now, the else if statement is very useful if you want to start capturing multiple if conditions. So you might have something which we're going to be looking at now. If the path is good, we get the content. Now, based on that content, if the content has X data, do this. Else, if the content has this data, do this. And then we can have the catch-all of else. If it doesn't match the other two conditions, do this. So let's actually see that example in action, because it's going to be a lot easier to see it in code, I believe anyways. This is definitely how I learned. So we have the file path here. We're going to put the correct file path so we can actually get the content on it. So if we run this, we can actually see that we get the names that are in that file. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to actually store that to a file called data. And then what we're going to want to do is if data dot count, and let's actually show you how that would work before. So let's just run this, run the script. We can actually populate data, and we can actually see what data would be here. We could see that it is the names. So if we do an if $data.count, so this actually grabs the number of lines in our data variable, which is 7. So we have 7 names in here. So if we have an if data.count is less than 5, we can output, write output, the file has less than 5 names. And then let's close that. And then let's add an else if here. If the data.count is less than 10, we are going to do a write output. The file has less than 10 names, but at least 5 names. So what happens here is it will only run through one of the if statements. So let's say the data count was 2. It would go through the if statement. It would be if data counts less than 5, it would be true. If it was 2, it would write the output, the file has less than 5 names, and it would not go to the other statements. It would instantly break out and go after the if, else block. And we're actually going to show you guys that today. So we have the else statement, and we're going to do another write output here of this file has 10 or more names. So if we run this right now, we know that it has 7 names, so we should see the output. This file has less than 10 names, but at least 5 names. Let's run this here. And that is really what we get. So if we actually go ahead and open this file here, and let's just take these out. So we only have 2 names in here now. Now we will see that the file has less than 10 names. So what that did here is we did an if test path. It does exist. So we go into this interior block here. We get the content of the file path. So we know that the data is going to be the 2 names. So let's just check that variable again. So we have Tim and John. Now we have the if the data count. So we have data count, which is 2, is less than 5. The file has less than 10 names, and then it leaves the block of code. And just to show you guys that it keeps going, this is after the if statement. So if we run this, we see that we get the file has less than 5 names, and this is after the if statement. So let's go ahead and let's go back into my file here, and let's make it more than 10 names. So here we should have this file has 10 or more names, and this is after the if statement. So we do have this file has 10 or more names. This is after the if statement. Now, if we have exactly 5 names here, so let's do, that's 4, let's do that. We are going to see that it will actually go into this else if, because this is less than 5, not less than equals 5. So let's do this. So we have this file has less than 10 names, but at least 5. Now, if we change this to a lesser than or equals to 5, we will actually get a completely different output here, which we have the file has less than 5 names. This is after the else statement. So this would be, we would have to change this. This file has 5 or less names, and then we can change this to a 6 just to be accurate with our conditional statements. And that's really it for the if statements and the else if statements. There is another conditional statement which we will be covering in the next video called a switch statement. And that could really be used to replace very long else if statements. If you have a lot of else ifs, you might want to use a switch. So that's it for this video. I will see you on the next video.